to Wow Factor Radio. I am your host, Chris Garrett, and our show today is brought to you by the Rocky Mountain Horse Expo, Denver, Colorado. This year it will be March 11, 12, and 13 at the National Western Event Center. My guest today is Taryn Warren, who I have been hearing about for the past year. I haven't met you yet, but I keep hearing wonderful things about you, and so join me in welcoming Taryn Warren from Magdalena, Texas. Welcome, Taryn.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm excited to talk with you this morning.
You have, well, let's do a little background on you first, and then we'll talk about what you're going to be presenting at the Expo. The owner at TNT Quarter Horses in Magdalena, Texas. So tell us about your farm, what you do, and a little bit about you.
Well, we have about a 50-acre spread here in Texas, and we raise our quarter horses here, and I've been doing that for probably close to 20 years. So we breed them and train them and compete on them. We sell the ones that we have what I consider excess. If I get too many colts in a year or too many fillies in a year, then we offer those up for sale, but there's not a lot of those that actually go out. Most of what we breed we end up keeping here on the farm. We started in working equitation about 4 years ago and just found it to be a good fit for our horses. We like the sport. We like that it encompasses more than one arena of competition. The horses have to be versatile, which is what we breed for.
Now, for our folks who have not yet heard of working equitation, can you give us a description of what it actually is?
Sure. Working equitation is actually developed off of the European cattle working traditions. So the European cattlemen would come to town on the weekends and want to show off the skills that they and their horses had at the county fairs. They wanted to show their horsemanship, they wanted to show the versatility of their horses, and then it soon developed into an arena sport. So the arena sport we see today actually has 4 phases. All the competitions begin with the dressage phase. The ease of handling, or what some people refer to as the obstacle phase, follows that. The speed phase is the true crowd pleaser, and it demonstrates the skill around the obstacles at speed. At national competitions, you'll see teams competing in the cattle phase. It's similar to our team penning here in the U.S. You have a team of 3 to 4 people, and each person is responsible for getting a cow out of a herd. We currently don't have any of those in the United States, but we're hoping those get incorporated very soon. You have to compete on the same horse in every phase with the same tack, so you're really showing the versatility of the horse and the rider. It's been around for about 20 years is when the arena sport started over in Europe, and it's been in the United States about 8 or 9 years. In the last 2 years, it's gained a huge amount of popularity, and events are starting to spring up all over the country.
I've seen that happen at a number of shows. I'm an Andalusian breeder myself, and it has just taken the Spanish horse world by storm because it is popular in Spain, which, of course, then always bleeds over to here. And it's been very exciting to watch, especially, like you said, the speed phase. Oh, my gosh. When you watch those horses doing obstacles, which are kind of similar to a Western trail course, but there's slightly different obstacles, and it can be done in different ways. I think it's judged slightly different as well, isn't it, from what those of us who've been around horses forever know as a Western trail course, at least in the obstacle phase?
It is judged differently, and that was a struggle for me when I first crossed over because I had shown a lot of trail classes, and so I couldn't figure out why I couldn't bring my scores up until I started going to some clinics with some trainers and some judges. They are looking more for the mechanics of how to get around the obstacle. It's not even so much that whether you get through it clean or not. They want to see the horse being ridden correctly and using the correct parts of its body when you're going through that obstacle. So getting through it clean is only part of it. Getting through it correctly with the horse on its haunches, being able to move its shoulders around, all that good stuff is what brings up your score.
Well, that's one of the things that I really like about it is it is very focused on correct riding and the horse using his body correctly. The goal is, like you said, not just to get over the obstacle. And I know there is also a dressage phase, which does kind of phase some people. So I know the word dressage can intimidate people a little bit, but what exactly is expected in the dressage phase of working equitation?
Well, you know, Chris, it's funny because when people first started contacting me about clinics, they wanted to have clinics, but they wanted me to leave out the dressage because nobody wanted to deal with the dressage. And I told them that the only way they were going to get me for a clinic is if they allowed me to incorporate the dressage because I wanted people to lose the fear of the word. It is only a fancy word that means training. I wish that that phase actually just said the pattern phase because really you're just writing a pattern. And it's a pattern based on what we need to see out of the horses to have the correct mechanics to then go on and do the ease of handling. So it's more of the training part of preparing your horse to get through the obstacles. So everybody thinks of it as what we see on the Olympics with the fancy piafs and passages when they think of the dressage. But in the working equitation, we are just looking for the basic skills that help keep a horse sound by encouraging the correct movement. We want to see the movements that create the agility through strength and balance in the horse, and we want to see the skills develop that the horses need to be competitive in multiple arenas in their life, not necessarily working equitation or dressage. Maybe they're going to go into pleasure or barrel racing, but all the horses need the same set of basic skills, and that's what the dressage is focusing on in working equitation. We write the tests so that the judges can evaluate the obedience of the horse, the suppleness of the horse, the straightness of the horse, the balance, the rhythm, the engagement, and the effective use of the rider's aids. So the tests at the lower levels are really only a combination of circles, straight lines, and walk-trot transitions.
You mentioned levels. What level of horse and rider can participate in working equitation?
The beautiful thing about it is that it's set up for all horses and riders. We start at the introductory level, which is basically just walking and trotting. So it's walking and trotting circles, it's walking and trotting straight lines, and showing a good halt. So it's built to bring up the lower level riders, the lower level horses, and have them kind of travel up a ladder of progression so that they are not in over their head, but they're at a level where they can develop the skill that they need to move on to the next level. So it's a fantastic sport in that we try and encompass everybody, and it allows people to build at their own speed. They don't have to move up just because they showed at a level for a year. They don't have to move up until they've reached a certain score requirements, so that we make sure that they're truly ready to move on to the next level. So it teaches horsemanship from the very beginning riders through advance. It helps them develop mechanics correctly in their horses. There's levels for the beginners, there are levels for masters, there are levels for the green horses just starting out to the horses who have tons of training and lots of miles on them. So we have the youth, amateur, and advanced rider divisions. So it's fantastic in that we are promoting everybody. We also think horse welfare is huge, so we don't allow horses to compete in recognized competitions until they're at least 4 years old. And that is only in the intro and novice levels. Horses have to be 5 years old to compete at the intermediate levels, and I believe at least 6 years old to compete at the advanced and masters levels. We don't want to see the young horses doing the upper skill level work that they aren't physically developed for.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. I've never heard of another discipline who has that ruling. I really like that. That's a very good idea. So for our folks who would like to get involved, what should they do? Where should they go?
Well, you know, there's 3 working equitation bodies right now in the U.S. that are recognized nationally. There's a World Association of Working Equitation that governs the entire world of working equitation globally. The 3 in the United States are WEIA USA, the United States Working Equitation Federation, and Working Equitation United. Each one is governed slightly differently, and you can find out more about them on their Facebook pages and websites. Some of the associations have an elected body, some of them have appointed bodies, but they all need volunteers, and they all have good calendars of events on their Facebook pages, on their websites, and so that's a really good place to get involved because they are always needing people who are passionate about the sport to help grow the sport, and the associations can help put you in touch with representatives in your state or in your area. You guys in Colorado are super fortunate because you have high country working equitation there, and that is a pretty big working equitation club in the grand scheme of things, and they have a lot of great enthusiasts and instructors. So you guys are fortunate there. I've been able to work with them a couple times, and they just have a super great passion for the sport.
The High Country Working Equitation group is the one bringing you into the Expo, and I understand you're going to be presenting both a clinic and a show. Can you tell us about that?
We are. We're actually going to have a full-day clinic before the Expo even starts so that people can come in and ride a full day with me. We'll discuss the dressage, we'll discuss the ease of handling, and probably touch a little on the speed. We will then follow it up with a show so people can take those newly honed skills and actually get some scorecards from a judge. And then I'll be giving some train with the trainers presentations during the Expo. I think I have a couple, I think two 2-hour sessions each day through the Expo.
Okay, wonderful. So if people want to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
Well, they can always give me a call, and that number is listed on our website, which is www.tntfarmsqtrhorses.com. The email address is that same tntfarmsqtrhorses@yahoo.com. So either one of those is a really good place to get a hold of me. We also have a Facebook page, TNT Quarter Horses LLC, and I respond to messages through that as well.
All right, terrific. Well, and I do know you also have some links on the High Country Working Equitation website for here in Colorado. And I have to tell you, the people I know in that club have just been singing your praises for the past several months, ever since you visited earlier this year. And you've made quite an impression. I'm very excited to see you at the Expo and see what it is you have to share.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, and that's very sweet of them. They're a great group of people that have a lot of talent. So you guys are very fortunate in that area to have people who have that amount of talent and are passionate about the sport, because it's a great resource for you guys there.
And we also are fortunate to have you visiting us at the Rocky Mountain Horse Expo this year. So we will look for you. Will you have a booth there as well, or will you be with the High Country Working Equitation booth?
I will have a booth there, but it'll be right with the High Country Working Equitation booth. So I look forward to seeing everybody and talk to those that stop by.
Terrific. All right. Well, we'll see you in a couple weeks. We're looking forward to meeting you too. And for our folks, if you want more information, do go to Taryn's website, which we have listed right on this page. And we will see you at the Expo in just a few weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today, and join us again next week for a brand new show. This is Chris Garrett. See you soon. Bye-bye.